Hi everyone, my name is Aideen and welcome to Playful Pathways. So, boundaries. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. What do I mean when I talk about boundaries? Well, I'm talking about the everyday rules and limits and expectations that we put in place around our child's behavior and how they interact with others. It's everything from don't throw your food on the floor and no, the sand is not for eating and please don't hurt your sister, right through to don't stick your head in the oven, don't stick your finger in the socket, and no, I'm sorry, you can't drive because you're only 6. Setting your household or personal boundaries is surely one of the most exhausting parts about being a parent or a teacher or basically anyone who has anything to do with children. As fast as you can decide what's acceptable, you will have a child testing you, and they will just keep on testing you until the point where they realize you are immovable and they're not going to get anywhere. Now, how long this testing process goes on for is entirely up to you and how consistent you are. Clear and consistent boundaries help children learn quickly what's acceptable and what's not. So, as well as it being really important that you are consistent within yourself, it's worthwhile thinking about whether or not you and your co-parent are consistent with each other. And if you feel like you're not, then you guys should probably sit down and talk about it and get on the same page. Because when rules or expectations are constantly changing, or when you say one thing and your co-parent says another thing, it creates uncertainty. So your child might have the experience, well, last week I really wanted more biscuits and mum said no, and that made me really mad, and so I screamed a lot, and then dad said I could have more biscuits. If this experience happens again and again, what your child is learning is when I want something, I just have to scream a lot and eventually I get it. Now, no parent obviously wants to be dealing with daily battles and tantrums like these. And it's really important that we remember that these kinds of behaviors put children under enormous amount of stress as well. Psychological, emotional, and physiological stress. No one enjoys a tantrum. Every time you set and maintain boundaries with your child, you send them the message that you, the parents, are in control. You are trustworthy. You do what you say you're going to do. Consistent and predictable boundaries, routines, and expectations help reduce uncertainty and anxiety and help your child feel safe and secure. Over the years, I have worked with many children who struggle to accept boundaries, and it's really easy to write these kinds of kids off as difficult or naughty. But really what it comes down to often is that these children haven't had enough experiences of predictable and consistent boundaries. Children want to do the right thing. Most of the time, they really want to live up to our expectations and have that lovely feeling that goes along with it. No child sets out to become the difficult child. But if their experience has taught them that adults don't do what they say they're going to do, or they don't follow through, or they're open to negotiation or wearing down, then that child will feel the need to keep on testing those boundaries, and they will keep on testing them until you, the adult, are immovable, they're not going to get their way, and then they can stop testing because you have proved that you are trustworthy and reliable. As adults, it is so easy to forget that children, especially young children, are still learning their human skills, and they just don't know what's expected of them or what's acceptable and what's not until we teach them. So when you see your child doing something that you consider to be totally unacceptable, they have stripped off all their clothes and are rolling around naked in the mud in front of all of the neighbors, and all you can think is, oh my God, why have they done that? Oh, this is so embarrassing. Oh, my child is out to ruin my day. But actually, all your child is thinking, oh, this feels great. Oh, I'm having a really good time. And actually, they probably didn't know that by your standards, as adult standards, that was unacceptable. So we can't judge children by the same standards that we hold adults to, because children are still learning all of those standards and learning all of those skills. And teaching them those things requires a lot of repetition and a lot of consistency. And remember, children are learning as much from watching us as they are from what we say. So if we want kids to learn to do the right thing, we've got to make sure that we, the adults, are doing the right thing too. Now, I realize that for some parents, setting boundaries might actually be quite difficult and possibly even really stressful. And maybe this is because of what your childhood was like. you might not have had very many boundaries or routines and rules, and so it feels quite unnatural for you to be doing this with your own kids. Or maybe it was the opposite extreme and you had loads of them and it was really, really restrictive, and the last thing you want to do is repeat that with your own kids. No matter how you feel about boundaries, if you feel like you need some more help in knowing how to set and maintain them in your home, have a look at this video where I'm going to go through in more detail and more of a step-by-step guide how you can end those daily battles in your home. Thank you very much for watching today. If you like what I'm doing here, hit subscribe, and please, if you've got time, have a look at my Patreon page where I can tell you more about becoming part of the Playful Pathways community. Hopefully, I'll see you soon.